The City of Tucson Housing and Community Development Department welcomes you to the video presentation of the Voucher Issuance Briefing. In its simplest terms, the Housing Choice Voucher Rental Assistance Program pays all or a portion of an eligible family's rent in a suitable housing unit. The key to receiving this rental assistance is understanding how the Housing Choice Voucher Program works, what your responsibilities are, and finding a suitable unit so you can make the most of this opportunity to rent a good home at a price you can afford. This video will outline general program issues within several topic segments. If you have questions, please note them down as they may be answered throughout the presentation. If they are not answered, please contact our office by email or phone to ask your questions. The contact information for your voucher issuer can be found on the letter that was sent with your voucher packet. There is a lot of information we will cover, so please pay close attention. We will begin with what is included in your voucher packet. In this picture, you can see all the documents that are contained in your voucher packet. We will go through each item in the packet so you understand how they are useful. Your voucher packet should contain 2 unsigned vouchers, the payment standards sheet, the utility chart, the utility worksheet, Go Section 8 flyers for the landlord and tenant, the certification worksheet, a Good Place to Live booklet, the Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home booklet, the Lead booklet receipt self-certification form, the tenant documents, the leasing packet, the VAWA packet, and the self-certification of video presentation form. There may be other documents in your voucher packet depending on the program issuing your voucher. If your packet is missing anything mentioned here, please contact your voucher issuer. A signed voucher is the document that gives the participant the authorization to look for a unit with the understanding that provided a unit is found that passes inspection, that Section 8 will pay a portion of the rent on behalf of the tenant to the landlord. So let's begin with looking at your voucher. As you can see in box 1, the unit size that is determined by your household composition. Remember, our occupancy standard is 2 people per room, regardless of gender, age, or relationship. Box 2 reflects your issuance date. The expiration date is found in box 3. This is exactly 60 days from the issue date. If you need an extension, you need to submit your request in writing before your voucher expires. Please be sure to include your email and phone number on your request. Your request will be reviewed and you will be notified once a decision has been made. A prospective landlord may ask to see a copy of your voucher to make sure you are a program participant. It is critical that you read your voucher carefully. The Housing Authority staff has signed and dated both copies of the voucher. You will need to sign in box 6 and date both copies of the voucher as well. It is important you understand that by signing the voucher, you are acknowledging you understand your voucher is valid for 60 days and that within the 60-day period, you must find a suitable unit and submit the request for tenancy approval form and supplemental documents in order for an inspection to be scheduled. You must understand and be willing to follow the rules outlined under heading number 4, Obligations of the Family, found on page 2 of the voucher. Please turn to that section and read along with me. By signing the voucher, the family agrees to follow the rules and regulations of the HCV program. These obligations of the family become effective when the family's unit is approved and the HAP contract is executed. The family must follow the rules listed below in order to continue participating in the Housing Choice Voucher program. The family must supply any information that the Housing Authority or HUD determines to be necessary, including evidence of citizenship or eligible immigration status, and information for use in a regularly scheduled reexamination or interim reexamination of family income and composition. The family must disclose and verify Social Security numbers and sign and submit consent forms for obtaining information. The family must supply any information requested by the PHA to verify that the family is living in the unit or information related to family absence from the unit. The family must promptly notify the housing authority in writing when the family is away from the unit for an extended period of time in accordance with PHA policies. The family must allow the housing authority to inspect the unit at reasonable times and after reasonable notice. The family must notify the housing authority and the owner in writing before moving out of the unit or terminating the lease. The family must use the assisted unit for residence by the family. The unit must be the family's only residence. The family must promptly notify the PHA in writing of the birth, adoption, or court-awarded custody of a child. The family must request PHA written approval to add any other family member as an occupant of the unit. The family must promptly notify the housing authority in writing if any family member no longer lives in the unit. The family must give the housing authority a copy of any owner eviction notice. The family must pay utility bills and provide and maintain any appliances that the owner is not required to provide under the terms of the lease. Any information the family supplies must be true and complete. The family must not own or have any interest in the unit. The family must not commit any serious or repeated violation of the lease. The family must not commit fraud, bribery, or any other corrupt or criminal act in connection with the program. The family must not engage in drug-related criminal activity or violent criminal activity or other criminal activity that threatens the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of other residents and persons residing in the immediate vicinity of the premises. The family must not sublease or let the unit, or assign the lease or transfer the unit. The family must not receive Housing Choice Voucher Program housing assistance while receiving another housing subsidy for the same unit or a different unit under any other federal, state, or local housing assistance program. The family must not damage the unit or premises other than ordinary wear and tear, or permit any guests to damage the unit or premises. The family must not receive Housing Choice Voucher Program housing assistance while residing in a unit owned by a parent, child, grandparent, grandchild, sister, or brother of any member of the family, unless the PHA has determined that approving rental of the unit, notwithstanding such relationship, would provide a reasonable accommodation for a family member who is a person with disabilities. The family must not engage in the abuse of alcohol in a way that threatens the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of other residents and persons residing in the immediate vicinity of the premises. If you're now comfortable signing the voucher and agreeing to its terms, please do. If you're not comfortable, please consult with your housing specialist. In your voucher packet, you have also been given 2 booklets that will aid you in your search for a unit and understanding of the program. Reading a Good Place to Live booklet will let you know how our inspectors decide what housing is acceptable. Although there are a few differences and requirements for single-family homes, multifamily housing, apartments, and mobile homes, many of these housing types can be considered suitable housing. Also, in 1978, lead-based paint was banned. You should consider lead-based paint in units built prior to 1978 a possible risk to your family, particularly if you have a child under the age of 6. Read the booklet, Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home, to learn more about these risks. And please sign and date the receipt acknowledging you have received this booklet. Now that you have authorization to begin your search, let's talk about finding a qualifying unit. If your current landlord does not accept Section 8, or you do not want to stay in your current unit, you do have choices. There are many ways to find suitable housing. Things you may want to consider are where you work, where your family and friends live, public transportation routes, location of quality schools, and your shopping needs. You can use the website gosection8.com or pimacountyhousingsearch.org or any advertisement such as for rent signs, newspaper ads, or the apartment guides. Just be sure the first question you ask is if they are willing to accept Section 8. If you find a landlord who is willing to accept Section 8 but they want more information, please have them contact your housing specialist for an overview of the program. If you are considering exercising your rights to portability, please contact your housing specialist as they will help you with our current policies. The rent of your prospective unit is limited based on the payment standard and 40% of your adjusted income. The family cannot pay more than 40% towards rent and utilities. In your packet, please pull out the payment standards document shown here. As you can see, we have broken the payment standards down into two groups of zip codes, the low rental cost area and the high rental cost area. To determine if you qualify for a unit, you need to know the total rent, the payment standard, and the tenant utility responsibility according to our utility chart. Let's do an example of how to calculate the total housing cost of a prospective unit. You have been provided the unit calculation worksheets to aid you in this process. For our example, we have a 2-bedroom voucher and are looking to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. We know the unit is located in the low rental cost area. The landlord has informed us that the rent is $800, and as the tenant, we would be responsible for the electric bill. The unit is all electric and is cooled by an air conditioning unit. Looking at the utility chart for apartments, the 2-bedroom column, we see that electricity, these are your plugins, is equal to $23. Electric heating is $41. Electric hot water is $20. Electric cooking is $6. And air conditioning is $29. The total tenant utility responsibility, according to the utility chart, is $119. Keep in mind you will pay what the utility bill asks you to pay based on your usage to maintain your utility service. These amounts are averages and are only used to determine if you qualify for the unit. So to determine if the unit qualifies, we add the contract rent of $800 to the utility amount of $119 and reach a total housing cost of $919. We then compare the total housing cost or gross rent to the payment standard to see if the unit qualifies, and we find that, yes, it does. Since the total housing cost is less than the payment standard of $921, this unit will pass the payment standard check. Things to consider. The Housing Authority recommends that you stay within the payment standard amount for the bedroom size of your voucher. You can choose to go up to your 40% as long as you understand you are responsible to pay the increased amount through the term of the lease. When looking at a larger bedroom rental unit, use the utility amounts for the actual size of your voucher. The price of the unit must also meet comparability. This is what we call rent reasonableness. More simply put, Section 8 cannot subsidize a unit that rents for more than other similar units in the same area. If the RAFTA is turned in and it does not meet rent reasonableness, the landlord will be asked to lower the rent. If the landlord is not willing to do this, you will be contacted so you can look for a different unit. Things to know while searching for a unit. You should always ask to see the actual unit you expect to rent. Keep in mind that you will be required to remain in the unit for a minimum of 1 year, as the initial lease term is 12 months. You may want to visit the site on different days of the week at different times of the day to ensure you will be comfortable living there. The only exception to this rule is in cases of reasonable accommodation due to medical need or for an individual asking for the protection under the Violence Against Women's Act. You are responsible for all of your moving expenses. If your program is providing you any type of assistance, they will inform you of that. Once you have determined your comfort, complete whatever the landlord is asking in order to determine if they can approve you as a tenant. If you have credit history issues or a criminal history, it is in your best interest to disclose that information in advance. If the landlord is going to refuse you tenancy, perhaps they will do it before charging you an application fee. After the landlord has accepted you as a tenant, then provide the landlord the leasing packet. Give the prospective landlord the entire leasing packet, as it provides instructions to the owner about what documentation is required and the rules and regulations the landlord must follow while receiving rental subsidy payments. The leasing packet contains the required request for tenancy approval form. This form is required for us to confirm that you qualify for the unit and that the unit meets rent reasonableness. Please also give the landlord the Go Section 8 flyer so they can advertise any other units they may have available. Remember that finding suitable housing that will pass HUD's housing quality standards is essential to your ability to participate in the Section 8 program and receive housing subsidy. If the unit is not ready and the landlord cannot make the repairs within the required time frame, you should consider other housing options. Remember, you need to find this unit within the voucher's 60 days. The landlord will complete the Request for Tenancy Approval Form, also known as RAFTA, and the supplemental documents outlined in the leasing packet. On the second page of the RAFTA shown here, you'll be required to sign where it's shown in orange, and the landlord will be required to sign where it's shown in green. Only one RAFTA may be submitted at a time, and no RAFTA forms will be accepted after your voucher has expired. The RAFTAs may be emailed, mailed, faxed, or hand-delivered as a last resort to our office. Once these documents from the leasing packet are completed and turned into our inspections department, they will be reviewed to determine you qualify for the unit. If you do not qualify for the unit, you will be contacted and informed to find a new unit. If you do qualify for the unit, our staff will contact the landlord to set up the inspection date and time. If the packet is incomplete, it is not considered received. The inspection may take up to 15 days from the date we received the completed packet. If the inspection appointment is missed, the inspector cannot gain entry to the unit, or there are deficiencies that need correction, this will cause the unit to fail the inspection and will prevent you from receiving assistance in this unit. Our inspection staff must inspect and approve your desired unit before the housing subsidy can begin. If the inspection passes, the landlord will be notified at the time of the inspection. If the landlord agrees, you can sign your new lease and move into the unit the day it passed inspection. If you're moving from a previously assisted unit, keep in mind there is only a 10-day overlap of the subsidy. HCD and the landlord will proceed with more paperwork to place the unit under contract. Once the contract is complete, you will be notified of your portion of the monthly rent. The rent you will pay is based on the contract rent and tenant-paid utilities. Until then, it is recommended that you pay your 30% according to your certification worksheet. Your 30% can be found on page 2, number 8 of your certification worksheet. HCD is not a party to the lease and is not directly involved in the enforcement of the lease. However, violations to the lease can be a reason for termination of your rental assistance. Be sure to read and fully understand your lease before you sign it, agreeing to its terms. Please note that your housing specialists may change after the contract has been completed. Next, let's review the tenant information packet. The first page of this packet is the tenant information sheet, and it provides the frequently asked questions. Please take a moment after this video to review it. We provide tips to locating a unit and leasing a unit. The tenancy addendum is included. This will be attached to your lease once the contract with your landlord is signed. It provides the rules and regulations that must accompany the terms of your lease. we have provided the Tucson Metropolitan Area School District map to aid you in your search, and the City of Tucson Persons in Poverty map in case you wanted to relocate to an area of opportunity. The Suntran Rider information is there if you're interested in information about transit routes. A listing of the housing authorities in the state of Arizona that also have a Section 8 program in case you wanted to port out of Tucson into another housing authority's jurisdiction. Information about housing quality standards. Our program is designed to help families get affordable housing that is decent, safe, and sanitary. If your unit does not meet HUD guidelines for housing quality standards, you won't get assistance in that unit. We've provided a landlord-tenant move-in condition checklist. We've provided information about fraud. There are 3 parties to our program, and fraud can happen for each party in different ways. Tenants can intentionally misrepresent their income or make side payments. Landlords can misrepresent their relationship to the tenants or ask for side payments. And the housing authority can intentionally miscalculate client income or intentionally pass an unsuitable unit during the inspection process. Quality control measures have been put into place to ensure fraudulent activity does not occur, and the penalty for committing fraud is a fine of up to $10,000 and/or imprisonment for up to 5 years. So really think about it. Is it worth it? Along with the privilege of receiving housing assistance, there are great responsibilities. We have provided a list of reasons you may be denied or terminated from housing assistance. You may be denied assistance or your assistance terminated if certain policies and procedures are not followed. If you feel that the housing authority's actions aren't accurate or just in your termination, you have the right to dispute any action taken by the housing authority regarding your subsidy. The information about this process is included on the page titled Informal Grievance Process. We've also provided a notice of non-discrimination, which gives you the contact information for the City of Tucson Equal Opportunity Office for inquiries regarding equal opportunity policies and filing grievances. We've provided information about the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. This program is intended to help individuals meet short and long-term goals that will lead them to becoming self-sufficient. If you are interested in one day becoming a homeowner, please call the number provided once you have leased up in your new unit. Last but certainly not least, we've also provided in the tenant information packet information about your rights while searching for a home. Fair housing laws prohibit discrimination against the 7 protected classes: race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and age. In this packet, we've provided a form that you can use to file a complaint with HUD if you feel that you have been discriminated against. Once you have signed a lease with your landlord and we have completed the contract, you will be expected to report all changes in writing within 10 business days of the change. These changes may include increases or decreases to your income and changes to your household composition. Keep in mind, our office and your landlord must approve anyone you want added into your household before they move in. If anyone is moving out of your household, this must also be reported. Contact your landlord or manager first for any problems with the rental unit. Tenants can be charged for excessive damages even if they're caused by a guest. You will be asked to participate in the recertification process. You may remain on the HCV program as long as you are eligible, your home meets housing quality standards, and you don't violate any HCV policies or procedures. HUD requires that the family will recertify and a home must be re-inspected. You will be provided reasonable notice of your appointment dates to ensure you are available to be present. But keep in mind, these appointments may also be conducted over the phone or by mail. Understand you will only be given 2 attempts to collect documentation. If you fail to be present or fail to provide the documentations for 2 consecutive appointments, this is reason for termination of your assistance. If you need a reasonable accommodation, because you're a person with a disability and you need a change, exception, or an adjustment to a rule or policy, practice, or service, in order to fully utilize our program and services, please contact your housing specialist for information on how to request the accommodation. As an example, a person with a disability may request the approval for a live-in aid in the household. Requests for accommodations must be assessed on a case-by-case basis. The Violence Against Women's Act protects all individuals, not only women, who find they are a victim of dating violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking. If you fear for your safety and want to move for your protection, please complete the form provided in your packet. If you lose this form, you can obtain a new one from your housing specialist. This is a general briefing on how the HCV Rental Assistance Program works, your responsibilities, and some tips to finding a suitable unit. We will require that you return one copy of the signed voucher, along with the signed lead-based paint booklet receipt, and the self-certification that you have watched this video presentation. This paperwork must be returned to our office either by email, mail, fax, or in person as a last resort. The information must be returned and logged in order for an inspection to be scheduled. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out to your housing specialist. Their contact information can be found on the letter you received with your voucher packet. Thank you for spending this time to become more knowledgeable about the Housing Choice Voucher Program. You have 60 days to find a suitable unit, so don't wait. Start your search today.